Shai Gilgeous Alexander then attended the University of Kentucky with a stacked freshman class, and he was actually their backup point guard for most of the year. He was coming off of the bench for Kentucky behind Quade Green. During Shai's time at Kentucky, he still emerged as a star athlete, more so towards the end of the year, where it just proved that he was unstoppable and he was so long that it was going to be hard to guard. Shai was then drafted first round to the Los Angeles Clippers, where he played alongside Chris Paul as a rookie. Shai had a great year for the Clippers and was actually in contention for Rookie of the Year at one point. Shai was then traded from the Clippers to the Oklahoma City Thunder for James Harden. Shai was then sent to Oklahoma City to build everything from scratch for himself. And this is where he was going to prove. Is he going to be a star, or is he just going to be another guy in the NBA? Shai continued to ball out. And now seeing him in 2025, Shai Gilgeous Alexander is going to win the MVP of the NBA. It's insane to see how far he came from this point. So when you heard him say everything is about consistency, his whole life is consistent, Alexander is becoming the MVP frontrunner in the NBA. He's dominating the league, and it looks like he's going to become either the new face of the NBA or just one of the best players in the league for a long time. So when you think about how far Shai Gilgeous Alexander actually came, 5 years ago he was just a kid from Canada, ranked 112th in the entire nation, and now he's about to be the MVP of the NBA. That's insane. So you have to root for him. You have to root for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's the greatest underdog story in sports right now. Shai Gilgeous Alexander is the greatest underdog sport story. Shai Gilgeous Alexander is the greatest underdog story in sports right now. He's just a kid from Canada. He was underranked his whole life. He went to Kentucky as a backup point guard and just so happened to get time on the court and be able to show his skills and what he could do. He was drafted to the Clippers, then traded early on in his career, and now he's becoming an emerging star as the face of the NBA. How can you not root for a kid like that? He's a born winner, and he's from Canada. Jackson Smith and Jigba is a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. So to be honest, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is throwing him the ball. Geno Smith was just his quarterback for the past few years, and he made Geno look like a Pro Bowl quarterback. He'll do the same for Sam Darnold. Jackson Smith and Jigba will be a better fit with Sam Darnold than Justin Jefferson was. Jackson Smith and Jigba, if you get him going early in the game, he's unstoppable. He's a fire starter. If you get him a couple touches early, you can throw to him throughout the entire game and nobody will be able to guard him. He's a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, and that's only giving respect to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Everybody else, you can argue back and forth, but you can't convince me that they're better than him. The Seahawks got rid of DK Metcalf and they shipped off Geno Smith, and they've basically invested their entire franchise into one player. JSN, and that's for a reason. If you watch every Seahawks game this year, he was unguardable. There were points in the game where you knew, hey, this is going to Jackson. It's not going to Tyler Lockett. It's not going to DK. DK is just running a straight vertical, a clear out route, and Jackson's the target every single time. And they converted it every single time. He made Geno Smith look like a great quarterback. He is allowing Geno Smith to have 3 or 4 extra years on his career just because he was targeting JSN. Sam Darnold and the Seahawks are going to be great this year. Great. LeBron James isn't hurt. He does this every single year before the playoffs. He goes really hard. The Lakers win a bunch of games right after the All-Star break, and then he gets hurt right before the playoffs so that he can rest his body, take some time off, and then he's going to come back right before the playoffs start. The Lakers are going to get their chemistry together, and then they're going to be full steam ahead once they get to the playoffs. So no, I don't believe that LeBron has a groin injury. And even when he did the interview, he said, "Oh, it's not that bad. It might be a couple days." And then he like knocked on wood, and now it's a 2-week injury. Okay, the Lakers are going to take a little slide here, which is completely fine. LeBron's going to come back full strength, healthy when they get into the playoffs, and that's scary. As the SEC tournament starts, we're going to do predictions for every single game in the SEC tournament because we know that this is the most competitive conference in college basketball. So, this is going to give us a big hint as to what we're looking for in the NCAA tournament as well. First game that we're looking at First game that we're looking at is number 16 South Carolina versus number 9 Arkansas. In this game, you're looking at a John Calipari coach basketball team who's been there before. They're getting hot towards the end of the season, and as John Calipari said, they put us in the coffin, they just forgot the nails. South Carolina's not been very good, so I'm going to go ahead and take Arkansas to win this game and advance this round of the SEC tournament. The next game is number 13 Texas versus number 12 Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt actually has a lot of guys this year, like a lot of talented guys. They have Michigan State's point guard from the past few years who's really good. They also have a bunch of other scorers as well. The only thing is that Texas has the Johnson kid who's supposed to be a top 5 draft pick in the NBA draft, and he can just apparently he's a volume scorer. Like he's literally like James Harden, a volume scorer. So with that being said, I'm going to take Texas because he's just too hard to stop. And hopefully at this point of the season, if they game plan for him, he'll be able to get his teammates involved. Next game is LSU versus Mississippi State. I am anybody over LSU. I just think that LSU, their players don't try, and I think they're not very talented either. So I'm going to take Mississippi State, and that's a quick game. Following round is Oklahoma versus Georgia. Georgia's basketball team is good. Oklahoma's team is streaky good. But with that being said, I'm going to take Georgia just because they're a little bit more consistent. I do think it'll be a close game. Out of all the games, that'll probably be the closest one, probably within 3 or 5 points. But I'm going to take Georgia to win. The Philadelphia Eagles the Philadelphia Eagles really won a Super Bowl and then shipped off their entire defense. Maybe that's how it's done though. They're not all in on being a franchise and winning bowl after bowl after bowl. But they knew that they had to get one ring. And there's so many franchises that could take a lesson from that. One of them being the Cincinnati Bengals. Sometimes it's okay to go all out on your franchise and then just trade those guys later. Right now, we can go all out for a couple guys, trade them later, and then figure out what happens. That's what the Philadelphia Eagles just did. They just gave away 6 guys from their defense who were stars on this year's past team. And they don't know how that's going to turn out. But what they do know is that they have a Super Bowl in hand. And what do the old heads say? One in the hand's better than two, something, something, something. That's how the Eagles roll. Druski allegations are insane. Hard to believe, yes. But Cat Williams one time said in a skit, he said, people don't continuously say the same things about you if it's not true. So when we think about it, was Druski power bombing people and hitting them with the people's elbow? Probably not. Was Odell one-handed catching the bottle? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, maybe, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe once or twice. I don't know. But there are videos of Drewski with Diddy. So the fact that he's in the files, deeply described in the files, is not a good look. It's just not a good look. Um, it's not a good look.